Hello, hello.
Hello, good evening. Thank you to everybody who has patiently waiting for this session. And we are extremely sorry that we are doing this late night show, which usually happens only when you have cinema shows. But now we are doing this something that will affect you watching cinemas also uh, in the future. This is a session which was supposed to happen at 6. One of our speaker was with the chief minister and he got relieved only a little late in the evening. uh, this session is on DPDP, which is Digital Data Protection Act that government of India has recently enacted, and the rules of which is being in a very sheepish and closed door manner being discussed and given chance for people to comment. I would like to invite Sangeeta Bura, who is a senior journalist and secretary to Press Club of India, to please come on the stage. Assam, one of the states in northeast India. So very interesting, Oh, yes. She is Sangeeta Barua, and I can spell it very well. I can speak very well Barua, but I think my note was writing wrong spelling, so that's why I had to write that one. Yeah, read that one. Thanks for reminding. And our long-time friend Nikhil Day, who is also our teacher in life, for considering what we think about the communities. Nikhil Day is from Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangtan, MKSS, but he is also known as one of the people who were the architect of Right to Information Act in India, among some of his colleagues and many of the supporters like us also. And we also have Apar Gupta, who is an advocate in Supreme Court and founder director of Internet Freedom Foundation. He is going to join about 10-15 minutes late. And to Sangeeta and Nikhil, uh, just to introduce you the audience, we have a community called World Summit Award Community from 60 countries. 170 people are here, and not all of them are here. So lost patience to keep on waiting and waiting, but some of them have gone, but most of them are here, and they are from different countries like Serbia, Guatemala, Austria, Lithuania, Iraq, 19 people from Iraq, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and there are many more people who are from the country which is not country like West Bengal and Assam, as good as that one. Uh, uh, so here, listen, the reason why I wanted this international community to introduce to you is that they all are also very interested in knowing this data issue and how it might be affecting their personal life, their business life, their democracy, their governance in their country. And especially Peter Brook, who is the chair of World Summit Award, he had gone home to collect all the warm cloth that he has been wearing, and also to cover his head, to be here to understand, because he is the person who is doing a big project of futurizing democracy in Europe. So he's also working on that project. Dorothy is here, who has worked in UN for her life, and now she is very unhappy with the way the world is moving. Uh, and she has lived in India for many years, so she is also here. Um, okay, so thank you very much for patiently waiting. Pankaj Pachauri is here, yeah, who is our luck is here that one of the most important journalist who is still, wearing the flag of journalism. Some of the few people. Uh, so listen, this session is going to be a little tutorial also. Let me also tell, it's very important for all of us to know also that how this act, which is basically promising that it will protect you for your data, is going to actually reveal you for your life, and may not protect you and all that. And so let's also understand that what is the nuances of this one. And I will immediately go to Nikhil. There are two things. Nikhil is not a techie guy. He and me always fighting about, he says that you techie guys are making our life miserable, always says that. And also because I also work in communities, so he also blames me even extra that you come with the technology and then you harass us in the communities. So he understands the community very well, democracy very well, constitution very well, from the perspective of the people who live in larger part of the country, in rural areas and all that. So one, yeah, that I already introduced, so he has a very strong understanding that how it is going to affect people. Simple. So I actually also want to understand that, unfortunately, people think that I want to digitize the whole world and especially the community, which actually not true. I want to empower the people with technology, not disempower people. uh, Tell me, even my community, our people, where we go, they all are saying that, we are tired of getting online, we are tired, we are afraid of going online, we are afraid of anybody asking question online, and see. What do I tell my community about this new act that has come, because it is all in English and in data and in cyber and all that? What is the layman's definition of this act that is looking like that, according to you, is threatening us?
Thanks so much, Osama. Thank you to all of you, and profound apologies for your having to spend extra time and having to sit late. Um, and I don't know whether you've been kept from dinner, then even more profound apologies, but hopefully there'll be a great dinner afterwards. Uh, Thank you for this opportunity. When Osama ji told me and I was invited to speak in one of the plenaries, I said, I just, given the theme of your conference, given the fact that it deals with the digital world and democracy and us, I just am not willing to speak on anything else except the law that's supposed to govern the digital world and us. It doesn't even talk about democracy. It talks about us, meaning all of us as citizens. And as Osama says, it is going to be a little bit of a tutorial. It is true. It's certainly not true that I'm anti-technology, but I certainly am very troubled when technology is thrust down the throat of people. And that's another story. People for their benefits, people for getting identities, people for fighting corruption, for all kinds of means. It's been used as a very, very centralizing force in this country and maybe in many parts of the world. But of course, it has potential. And so I'm going to go back to actually, and Osama ji, I'll take a little bit of time to explain right to information at the beginning. And we are doing this kind of in question answer from, yeah, yeah. Fine. So I'm going to take a little bit of time and I'm also going to do this explainer. So, right to information, when it first came, I belong to an organization where very ordinary peasants and workers, MKSS is a mouthful for those from outside. Mazdoor means worker, Kisan means peasant, Shakti means empowerment, and Sangathan means an organization. So I come from an organization of peasants and workers who should not have been the ones who should have been at the vanguard of fighting for the people's right to information, but they were, and they were from the most simple things in the world. They were not getting wages, they were not getting the minimum wage, so they demanded to see the muster roll and the list, and it was hidden from them, and it had been hidden under the Indian Official Secrets Act, and they were told that this is a voucher and you cannot get hold of a voucher. It's under the Official Secrets Act, not allowed. When they did get hold of it, they realized that they were getting half the minimum wage, because more than half the people were people who were dead or didn't exist, or the names of cows and buffaloes as having worked, and they were getting the wage in their name, and it was obviously being pocketed by someone else. But that was not just ghost people, there were ghost works, there were ghost roads, there were ghost development. So they realized that they had caught hold of something extremely powerful, and shifting from demanding minimum wages, they started demanding the records. And that made a huge sea change, because it cleared why were entitled to their own records. And that's why information is so important, and that's why the digital world should be important in empowering people with information. So there were two slogans, and I won't go into any more, that people came up with. One was hamara paisa hamara hisab, our money, our accounts. We want to see our money, because it's every rupee in a democracy is ours, every dollar, every cent, every euro is ours, and we want to see it, and it's our accounts that we want to see. So when those records came out, and another very powerful slogan of indicating of where that it came from poor people is that hum janenge, hum jiyenge. The right to know is the right to live. Because they did not just ask for their wage list, they also asked for the medicine list in the hospital. How much has come or not come? And that was a life and death question. What were the rations in the ration shop and the ration shop register? So, what was happening to their land when it was being taken away? So, it became the fulcrum and a nerve center of information. And that was not a time, this was in the early 90s, when the digital world had spread. But when it spread, the digital world actually crept in to again take away information from them. So what was made available to everyone suddenly got hidden behind admin logins, and that became another battle to remove those admin logins and make people's information their own. I won't go into that. But what this law, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, so just to give you a little bit of background, it was passed in 2023 in August. Its rules were put up for comments, and the rules were put up in such a peculiar digital format. You had to, colleagues of mine did a explainer on how to do it. You had to go through 13 steps to get onto that, including an OTP before you could make a comment. And then when most of us said we did not want the amendment, this act amends the right to information and practically destroys it. When we said we want to go to that part saying section 44(3) of this act, which amends the Right to Information Act, 81J of the Right to Information Act, there was no place for it. It was not there in the format. So again, how the digital world can really actually be used by whoever, that comment which you all must know much more than I do, that uh, that design is architecture and code is law. So the code that told you that this is where you could give a comment or not was practically like already making the law. You were not out of order. You couldn't say anything about that. So I'm going to ask, can this be put? Can and I'm going to show you. So I will get into Osama ji, if it's okay, bits of the act. I'll just show. So why this has been such a draconian act? Number one, it destroys on the one hand the right to information with one amendment, and I'll show you how. And on the other hand, it destroys the freedom of expression using GDPR principles, so called, in the name of GDPR principles. What it's doing is really destroying, and it's not able to do anything that was said that this law would do, which is prevent surveillance and protect people from surveillance, and secondly prevent people from their own personal data being used for commercial use. It's done nothing to help on that regard. The big companies, data companies, are very happy with the act. They say it's a great act. The government is very happy with the act because it's empowered the government beyond belief, and I will show you those particular provisions. And it has made a draconian provision for anyone who is going to use information or data in any way, all of us in our social lives. Is it, are we unable to get it? Then I'll just speak. Um, yeah.
Let me get a little, other perspective also, and then you can come back to your presentation. So I come to Sangeeta. You are a journalist, not only journalist, you are, responsible position at the Press Club of India. Press is totally gone from India, right? Which is the biggest responsibility to disseminate to the people that what is right or wrong to them, especially in the time when people are working against democracy and all that. What are the things that you are seeing in this one, both as a journalist who will be perhaps put on guard for dissemination of information, collection of information, or your own reportage and reporting, your sources and so many things? Because I heard that this act also affects the journalistic act of collecting data and dissemination of data. So how do you see this one, and also the responsibility how you are going to convey to the masses who are expecting you to tell the truth?
First time when I had a discussion with Nikhil, about this act, what he said is that from now on you will not be able to do journalism. So that's what he said, and that's what like stopped me on my tracks. And I said, "What is it?" So what um, you know the what surprises me is that the strange secrecy that was maintained to pass this law in parliament. And this law was passed without any discussion in parliament. This is a strange thing. I mean, this is an act which is going to affect the lives of everyone, but there was no time given to for its discussion. And it was passed at a time when the opposition MPs were actually protesting, asking for a discussion on the ethnic violence in Manipur, which is in northeast India, and there was a huge round of violence there, ethnic violence that was happening at the time. And the government there is run by the party which is Narendra Modi's party. So people wanted a discussion on that, the opposition, but they were stalling it. So, and then everybody was thrown out of the parliament. And that was the time when there was no opposition. It was an opposition free parliament. And that was the time when this act was passed. So, and then when we are just getting to see what is there in the act, we're realizing that uh, most laws actually give some sort of exemption to the journalist when it comes to collecting data information. You have a special sense of a cover because you are the fourth estate in democracy, so you are actually collating information, everything for the people, so you have that cover. But this act doesn't even give you that exemption. And many of my stories personally, I work for a digital platform called The Wire. And a lot of my stories are based on RTI replies. And these are the stories which are like, we actually, through with the help of RTI, which is Right to Information Act, I've been able to question the top guns, the chief ministers of powerful states, and various government departments, central governments, and a lot of my other colleagues also, not just in the Wire but in some other organizations too. But with this now, that there is this act is now going to be overriding the RTI Act, which says very explicitly that if it comes in conflict with any other law, this DPDP Act is going to prevail. So, which means there's no chance of now even questioning any corruption or anything that we suspect. in any government, any powerful person. And the other thing, before I, because I want to just give the platform to Nikhil to explain a lot more, you're going to be able to connect the dots here. But another thing what I want to say is, like, some of the existing data which is there in public domain will also be difficult for us as journalists to perhaps process now because of this act. We will have to take permission from the so-called suspects to whether we can use their names. Will any person accused of corruption will allow me to use their name in my story? I don't think so. So whom are you trying to protect through this act in the name of protecting my privacy? So these are the kind of basic questions in a democracy people need to understand and ask. As far as journalism is concerned, we are now getting to see the legacy media more and more becoming a propaganda channel for the government of the day. So I don't expect much from them. But the digital media has been the at the forefront of questioning the government of the day, about and that's the reason there have been so many attempts to actually silence our voice, so many attempts to legally bind us. That's and this act is one of the provisions, I would say. There's another thing I want to explain, just mention. We had this electoral bond thing. There was so much of data that's already present in the data. I don't think we'll be able to process it any further and question these companies which had actually funded the election of the or funded the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is Narendra Modi's party. So huge sum of money. So that has gone into this party, and as a quid pro quo, we see in many cases. Once they give money, then they get these big, contracts. So it's a direct link to this. So now we will have to take permission from those people to use their name in our stories. Another thing I see, Nikhil, is that I was part of the Pegasus spyware investigation. There were 80 journalists of us from 17 countries, and now, of course, the Supreme Court didn't do much, to take that case forward. But now we still have a lot of data. This was all data leaked from the NSO group, that Israeli spyware group. So, now we won't be able to use those also. I mean, like, we've been thinking of gradually going back to those numbers, the many numbers which was yet to look at. So perhaps now we may not be able even to follow up on that as well. So I'm trying to say that as journalists, personally, I'll be hugely affected. My work will be affected. But as a part of the Press Club of India, which is the oldest press club in the country, which is the oldest press institution run by journalists for their rights, we are also now. What more can we do? I mean, we are protesting, we are giving platforms to people like Nikhil or others, to come and talk and trying to spread awareness that what more can you do? I mean, maybe unless we all come together, the members of the society, activists, politicians, everybody come together, all stakeholders come together and perhaps fight it legally and also as a public movement. Perhaps that is the only solution I see. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I don't know Apar is coming or not, but before he comes, Nikhil, the only one sentence coming to my mind, you know, governments are elected by people. They govern the country by the money that we provide to them. How can I even breathe if I cannot ask a question that how you are using my money, my resources, because you are living on my money. I am not living on your money. Even my vote has elected you. It's very difficult to fathom the fact that I am giving you, by taxes, I am giving you everything, to govern us in a right way, and I cannot ask a question, I cannot do anything. And especially in the era where everything is going to be platformized, whether it's vote or food or attendance or job or buying things, or our existence or communication, everything is platformized. If I am completely platformized and that is digital, and if I don't have a right of any data that I'm giving because I am on the platform, I just I can't even imagine a life like that. So that's what we want to understand. Is that act really is so uh, thing that I cannot ask any question, I cannot have my right on my own data?
So thanks for this. As soon as Apar comes on, please do let me know because I'd like to stop because he's got a short period. Can I stand? Because while this is going on, Sangeeta comes here as a representative of media of one of the largest groups, being the Press Club of India and the secretary of that. Another person from the Editors Guild of India, the secretary, came with us when we were meeting politicians. Today, 150 members of parliament have signed against this law, and including all the opposition parties, including the leader of opposition, saying withdraw this, what I'll just show you. So across the board, but the government has refused to even call anyone to talk, to answer at all. So that's the kind of severity with which we are dealing. Can we come to this now? What I'm going to show you is what was their motivation. If they did not have a bad motivation, if their motivation was actually to protect people, then there was no reason to amend the Right to Information Act. And that provision of the Right to Information Act that actually created harmony with privacy. We are RTI activists, and for a long time we faced this challenge that there is a creative tension between the right to privacy and the right to information. That creative tension was sorted out. If we can change, or you want me to change, can I just ask one of you to change, and can you do it? Yeah. So that tension was sorted out when privacy activists and right to information activists sat together. But first, what did the right to information do? It helped in controlling corruption because we could call out corruption, find out the source of corruption, find out the who done it. It helped in controlling the arbitrary exercise of power. Why have I not got my wages? Why have I not got whatever services I have? Who is it that who's acting in an arbitrary fashion in my name? And it empowered people in realizing their rights. The entire rights based legislation has a bedrock of people's right to information. They can ask, they can question, they can identify, and they can, by identifying public servants, do something to bring them to accountability. Now, the digital person, we'll call it DPDPA, through section 44.3. So this law, nobody knows that. We fought against amendments to the RTI Act, and the RTI Act in India is used by 6 to 8 million people a year. All the freedom of information in many countries of the world, many countries don't have that population. But to imagine that that number of people are using the right to information, and more than 100 people have lost their lives pursuing the information they're asking for in India because the Whistleblower Protection Act was not even brought in to protect those people. That's the kind of power that has. There is no major scam that has not been unearthed that does not have right to information against it. There is no major issue that campaign in the country that does not use right to information first to get the most information possible, data based information. So it removes the question of who. What does it do? It amends the RT Act, and I'll just show you how, so that you can no longer ask who did it, who built the road, who did not build the road, who did not give me my pension, who marked me as dead while I'm alive and therefore my pension has stopped, who has changed, struck my name off the electoral list, who is on the electoral list, if there is any who, if there is any name, and I'll come to it and how it does it. So anything that can identify a person from the domain of information that has to be given. And as a result, all these three, if I don't know the who, I can't control corruption, I can't control the arbitrary exercise of power, I cannot realize my rights because I don't know who to get those from, I don't know who to hold accountable. Let's show you how diabolically this was done. Next slide, please. This is exactly what was done. And until you show people exactly what was done in a track change mode, you don't understand the importance of this. Section 44(3) says, and this comes from the exemption clause of the right to information. You get everything, but what do you not get? Section 8(1)(j) of the Right to Information Act deals with privacy. What do you not get? So what did it say before? You will not get information which relates to personal information. And it says, notwithstanding anything contained in this act, there shall be no obligation to give any citizen information which relates to personal information, the disclosure of which has no relationship to any public activity or interest. That little bit is key. It's no longer personal if I'm affecting public activity or interest. If I'm pulling out all the water of a village, it relates to a public interest and activity. If I'm blocking the road in front of my house, if I'm polluting my village, if I am destroying the forests that are around me, if I'm doing anything, all that is actually public information. So it described it that you will not get anything which relates to personal information, which has no relationship on public activity or interest, or which would cause unwarranted invasion of the privacy of the individual. Obviously, what is unwarranted and privacy of the individual, you shouldn't get. And that's why we sat together with privacy activists to produce this particular formulation. And it still had a public interest override saying that unless, despite all this, even if it's completely personal, if the public information or the state PIO or the appellate authority fee is satisfied that larger public interest justifies the disclosure of such information. Because some people can actually affect larger public interest, and that's paramount, no matter what. So what you are doing inside your house may actually finally affect people in that house or people outside or people everywhere. And there was another proviso which I'll come to later. Now, what have they done? They've struck out everything from here to here. So they've said you will not get any personal information, anything that relates to personal information. So basically, what does that mean? No name. No name. So the RTI is useless for me. I will get propaganda. Road was built for $200 million. Sure. Who built it? No. Who didn't build it? No. I will get propaganda. Whatever the government wants to dish out as what it has done, that it will dish out in any case. And there's meant much in that. There is another provision, and then we'll move on. That is the most beautiful part democratically, and we are talking about democracy and us, in the Indian legal framework. One line that equated the voter with the elected representative. It said that provided that the information which cannot be denied to the parliament or state legislature shall not be denied to any person. It said, I vote for that person. If it cannot be denied to that person, it cannot be denied to me, the ordinary citizen. Nowhere else in the Indian legal framework is that line. And that line also they've removed. Now, why have they removed all this? What was the need to remove a harmonious clause? A clause that caused harmony between privacy and the right to information. Because they could not do what they want to do, which is to stop anyone's right to get information. That's why they did it here. Otherwise, they would have left this alone. But they couldn't leave this alone because under RTI, you would then legally get information that you could hold people to account. So they've removed this roadblock in their place. They've removed this thorn in their flesh. They've removed what would not. And then what have they done on the other side? And now I'll move very quickly. Have we got up our? Okay. You can try them on my phone. You're okay. So next slide. Basically, who's done something wrong we can't get, who's engaged in corruption, building of a road, any infrastructure, in India, this is a term that those who are from abroad won't understand. You have a oxymoron called the non-performing asset. Because how it can be an asset and be non-performing, I don't understand. Except it's an asset, non-performing asset for the person, billions of dollars. to the richest people in the country are given as loans of public money, and then they are wiped out, called a non-performing asset. And ordinary people, and if they have a loan, they find the police at their doorstep, taking over their land, taking over their real assets. And they, on the other hand, these billions of dollars. So we had to use the right to information to get the people's names. Who are the non-performing assets that you have cleared? Who are the non-performing assets that you have actually said they don't need to answer? So there's that. Pensions. I work in the state of Rajasthan. There are 1 crore is 10 million, 100 million. How many is 1 crore? 10 million people who get social security pensions. Out of that, about 300,000 in this last year were marked as dead, whereas actually they were not dead. They just did not manage to meet the digital requirements of either putting your thumb impression or your iris scan or your face. And at the end of that, the people who were forced to say, no, no, verify them as alive, just said they're dead. And we proved them. And how did we prove them? And after proving them, we said, who marked them dead? So that their pension stopped and they actually would become the cause of their death. We can no longer get that. Who marked them dead, we can no longer get. So hundreds of such things. And if you have, you have in the law as a provision that the government may exempt any entity, not even a class, any entity. So the best friend of the government, the IT cell of the ruling party, the people who do all the most mischief, you can exempt them because you are the state board that can do it. Okay, let's go next. So, yeah, 5 minutes, Elfin. Next. I just want to go through some of the things which will show you. Data means representation of information, so practically everything that's information. Digital personal data means personal data in digital form, and personal data means, this is in the law, any data about an individual who is identifiable by or in relation to such data. I take a photograph of all of you, and you are identifiable obviously by your photo, you're identifiable by your name, you're identifiable by your address, you're identifiable by anything else. There are no exemptions provided in this except to government. So why I say journalism is over is because this personal data, and data fiduciary means any person who alone or in conjunction with other persons determines the purpose and means of processing of personal data. Basically, all of us are data fiduciaries. Thousands of us, all of us here, are in breach of this law many times a day because we use data and information in a public domain. This is not giving you protection against those big guys, and I'll show you how. It's neither, the law was supposed to protect you against surveillance, the law was supposed to protect you against the big data companies. It's doing neither. The big data companies get your consent from when you press a cookie, or when you sign up to Google, or you sign up to Facebook, or whatever. They get their 15 pages of consent. They are safe and they are happy with the law. But you and I, who are using information all the time, where will we go around getting consent? And what is consent? Let's go. So a board deals with everything. Next. Let's go. Processing, data protection, yeah, but they are very important because they're key to it. How do you deal with it? A personal data breach, this is key, means any unauthorized processing of personal data or accidental disclosure, acquisition, sharing, use, alteration, destruction, or loss of access to personal data that compromises confidentiality, integrity, availability of personal data. So any of these things cause the breach. And next, the consent to be given. So this is a requirement. I have to get consent from anyone. There may be a public official, there may be someone in breach of every other law, there may be someone who've done something wrong to someone, anyone. I may be a journalist who's looking for something. Consent given by the data principle shall be free, specific, informed, unconditional, and unambiguous, with a clear affirmative action, and shall signify an agreement to the processing of her personal data. So my name, if I have done something wrong and a journalist wants to report on it, cannot be given until I ask that person. That's there is no journalistic exemption. There's no exemption for right to information users. There's no exemption for public officials. There's no exemption for anyone else. Next, and I'll stop with that. Section 36 of the Act, and talk about surveillance and talk about sources of journalists. Section 36 of the Act says the central government, for the purposes of this Act, require the board, including the board, the central government can direct the board, and any data fiduciary or intermediary to furnish such information as it may call for. The entire gamut of information that lies with me, the government can take, central government can take. Now you can imagine in an autocratic government what this means. I won't go further anymore, but this is, and what are the fines and penalties? I'll just show you. Next slide. Next. The slide, the fines and penalties, 250 crore rupees. How much is that in dollars or euros? The fines can extend to $40 million. So yeah, so about $1 million is all they need to do. Why go up till 40 million? 14 million. Okay, 40. Yeah, yeah. So like we say here, it can, yeah, right. And if you don't do it, it can be doubled. It's there in the law. It can be doubled the amount. So basically, it's not that they're going to get after every one of us. They will target. They will target those who are most troublesome. Anyone can target, because even an individual can go, and these big corporates will go after you because they are stealing our oil, they are stealing our water, they are stealing our rivers, they are stealing everything, those corporates. And if we do anything, or as it is, they are going after us in defamation against all kinds of journalists in 10 and 20 places. But here now it's tailor made for them. And the state has a board, so whoever's friendly, they'll work with them, and others they won't. So I won't do more. I don't know if Apar has come on yet. I'll try and get him. Yeah, but we'll still try and get him. The reason we want to get Apar is because he works for uh, he's part of the privacy community. He's part of the digital community in the sense of, and he's from what's called the Internet Freedom Foundation. So normally on something like this, you would think Apar and I would be on opposite ends. But it's to show you the entire spectrum, whether it is someone like Sangeeta, and Sangeeta represents the entire journalist community because she's coming here as an office bearer, or whether it's me and I'm part of the right to information community. We don't have a politician here, but as I said, 150 members of parliament have signed. At least they deserve a hearing saying, please roll back at least the RTI amendment, or whether it's someone, yeah, yeah, that's a lot, and or someone like Osama, who actually has got this whole gathering together, and where I don't know, I've spoken a bit long, I apologize for that, but I'm really concerned about it, because what this will do is have such a chilling effect on entire gamut of democracy. I didn't read to you what digital data means. It basically means anything that even earlier was in non-digital form but has been changed to a digital form through an instrument is digital data, and therefore attracts all these various things. So government can do what it wants. The private companies are happy, and the rest of us who are citizens are entering this very frightening dark world, particularly active citizens. I think for the ordinary person, they'll just see it and get scared about saying anything at all. But but for the rest,
So in this building, you still can have your food without data or biometric sanction. But I also worry about this. This building is full of a startup community. A startup community is all about platformization these days. They all are going to collect data, and they will be responsible for the citizen and the customers that they are going to put on their themselves. And then how will they be taking it and all that? Um, let's finish it in 2 3 minutes
yeah, yeah,
because everybody is has to
very
go
tight.
and eat, and then we can also talk on our dining
Right.
tables.
Can I
uh,
try a par
yeah,
once
yeah,
while
you can try. Sangeeta wanted to do one line about this thing. I am just wondering, do we start working on collecting this 14 million in the next life to be able to pay for asking questions? Yeah.
No, exactly. That's the point because when I was speaking, I didn't want to give out the bombshell, which is like, your 250, what, 14 million
14
for
million.
first offense. And if you don't really comply, then that doubles. So I'm actually, I don't know any journalist. I mean, I'm not talking the high flying ones, the normal, colleagues that come to work every day, have they ever seen that amount of money in their life? Now, for asking question to the government, they are this is insane. And why? If you, it isn't. It's not rocket science. You just you get to get that answer immediately. Whom are they trying to protect? It's because the last 10 years have been the government of this party. So if any corruption that has happened in the last 10 years is by this party, so whom is it trying to protect? It's not very difficult to get that answer. But because there's an international community here, I just want to tell you, also warn you rather, that this is being done in the mother of all democracies. So you guys better be careful. So this is a thing that, we need the moral support from everyone to fight this. And this is actually a model that which need not be there. So that is what I want to say. And also one last point, that this party has actually come on the support of what, 38-40% of the votes from this 100. Rest of the 60% had not voted for this government.
Yeah,
So
that's important.
yet you are going to be subjected to this. So if you don't come out and join this movement to enforce the government to take this back, but you will be also affected. Your daily life is going to be affected. And I, as a journalist, asking question only for you. So if I cannot do that, I'll have to quit and go and do something else. But what is going to be affected? It's the democracy. It is your life. Every day your life is going to be affected. So it is, if I am affected by the act, you are also.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Dorothy, you wanted to have a line?
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say that all over the world, journalists are facing more and more restrictions. Within the UN, we have the International Press Freedom Day that is celebrated consistently every year. This should be put on the agenda. You have to fight for that so that the International Press Freedom Day will look at this issue in depth and have everybody globally looking at it. It can be done. There's always a theme. And I think this is a way to mobilize. And what I will tell you is that looking at what you've put there, there are a lot of similar clauses to data protection acts in other countries. So we can look at this from a global lens.
Correct.
Yes. I don't think it is an India fight. If you make
Yeah,
it
exactly.
India,
That's what
it
Nikhil was
makes
also
it
saying.
it makes it more difficult for you to win.
And
So
especially in a
globalize
global
it.
economy, it's a global economy. But the whole platformization is a global platformization. It's not a national level of platformization. So let's try to take this conversation on the dining table. I'm sure you all have a lot of. No, we haven't eaten. Huh? Really? Wow. It's there. Okay. Okay. Half part is saying yes, half part is saying no. There is two sides of a same data. Yeah. So thank you very much. Thanks, Nikhil,
Thank you.
for this one. What I am actually thinking is that we should do one more session in local language, and we make a capsule of it, and we take it. And I'm also thinking that we should do a signature campaign from citizens. I
Campaign going
Yeah.
on, which may also be in breach of this act when it comes into effect. By the way, the act is not yet in effect until the rules get notified, which
Yeah.
we are
Take the
saying
mic.
next month. Sorry, next month the rules may get notified. But I completely agree. Every global forum needs to look at these questions. And not only that, India is claiming we are following global principles.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
not
they're
only that,
taking
we
the
are also
name,
saying to transfer DPI,
they are
digital public
yeah,
infrastructure to the rest of the world. That
right,
means we are saying that we are the best and we are exporting DPI.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, um,
Great. Thank you so much. And let's go for dinner. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for listening to us. And finally, we have earned our dinner. I guess I will get the dinner. Peter, can you join us, please? Tanya, please come. Dorothy, can you join us? No, no, that is there. For you. Who is the represent? Okay, जल्दी से हमारा खाना खत्म हो गया है. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. आप चाहो तो बोल सकते हैं वो बात बात हो गई
Okay, okay. Your voice is coming through clearly.
Not Rappler. There's an association of communication professionals in Asia.
Oh,
Asia
yes,
Pacific.
yes, yes.
Ramon Kalman.
Okay. Yes. So you know, please already.